So we're living in a very topsy-turvy state of affairs. You got Mamdani winning, which is obviously good news. But you've also got Benjamin Netanyahu continue the full frontal assault on Gaza, despite the facade of a ceasefire, despite the fact that BBC itself has said the ceasefire is holding up, amongst the fact, despite, ignoring the fact that Israel has killed over 260 Palestinians in this time period, which is supposedly supposed to be a ceasefire. They're pulling the rug over our eyes, and this is the BBC, which of course is embroidered in its own shameful scandal in lying. When it comes to his, obviously, lying is nothing new to the BBC. Remember, this is the BBC that is constantly ignored the plight of the Palestinians, that has platformed the suffering of Israelis 30 times more than it has of the Palestinians, even though Palestinians are killed at a far greater rate, even though one side, Israelis, believe in total collective punishment, and it's in the very cultural fabric of Israeli society. This is something which this liberal establishment media will never acknowledge in a meaningful sense, because it is about protecting the status quo, protecting geopolitical interest, and protecting the kind of like establishment line, which at the time, of its programming, it was putting out very much anti-Trump kind of edits, and of course, is journalistically it's a big faux pas. It's not good. At the same time, the BBC has done far worse, far worse, and the BBC is completely compromised. Its editorial team is headed by a Zionist. It is Owen Jones has talked plenty on this. The BBC is completely in its own language. It's in describing Palestinians, even when it does describe the deaths of Palestinians, it talks about children as young women killed. When it talks about Palestinian, abductees, it ignores that some of those abductees are also soldiers. Completely ignoring the fact that if these people are not innocent in the typical sense, because when you're in a war and you abduct the soldier of the other side, that is, there's a conventional warfare. But when you are trying to portray a certain image of, only one side is innocent, the other side is, just this complete animalistic, dehumanized Palestinians, then obviously you can see where BBC is really, where its agenda lies. So there is, even though it's good that the BBC is being scrutinized, at the same time, what the right wing is going to do is, and the Zionists going to do, they're going to try and rein BBC more into their own side of the football pitch, and they're going to try and push out more right wing talking points, pro-Trump, but also by the same token, more pro-Zionist talking points, pro-Zionist framing of instances, and this is something we've already seen. So it's going to be worse. The BBC has no longer got any integrity when it comes to its news programming. Now, that's not to say that the BBC is completely, in the gutter, because you've got David Attenborough, you've got real talent in the roster of BBC media programming, but in the news cycle, it is a complete shit show. It is nonsense, and I'd rather watch Candace Owens, who I have disagreements with, than the BBC. Candace Owens, even despite the fact that she is deeply conspiratorial and has a conspiratorial edge, She does have her morals in order. She does believe that Palestinian children deserve the right to dignity, have the right to life and freedom. Whereas the establishment political structure does not regard the Palestinian people, and this includes the children, the babies, as relevant, as worthwhile. And they do it with disdain. And whenever they are, brought up to task, talk about Palestinian victimhood, real suffering of the Palestinians, they do it through clenched teeth. And the right wing believe that the BBC is too left-leaning, but the right wing is obviously completely anti-intellectual to begin with. It's got the likes of Douglas Murray, Tommy Robinson, Nigel Farage. These are actually psychopathic individuals who have no right to dish out or divulge on what is moral or immoral. These people have no right to have a say on. I mean, I believe in free speech, but they don't have the right to have their voices proliferated by mere virtue of the fact that they're backing, their backers are millionaires or Zionists, millionaires or billionaires. They don't have any right because first of all, they're not necessarily intelligent to begin with. They're front, figures. They are the mascots of whatever agenda their backers want them to be. And of course, no doubt they have sincere, irrational beliefs. But it goes without saying that these people are not to be taken seriously by if you constantly do the work, you constantly question, you find that these people are the foundation, the moral foundation is based on bigotry, lies, and a failure to understand things from an intellectual point of view, from an empathetic point of view, from a science-based point of view. Now, there are some similarities between them and Candace Owens, and how Candace Owens is very quick to, let's say, jump to conclusions. But at least she has a value system. She believes in the value of lives, believes in the value of children. And dare I say, she does come to some possibly true conclusions. Now, I'm not going to say that Charlie Kirk himself was, assassinated by Israel. But I would say that there are some holes in the argument, and there's some really bizarre behaviors that we have witnessed. For example, the fact when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, why didn't Benjamin Netanyahu just almost immediately put out a statement and constantly try and fight back against accusation? I mean, if you are absolutely completely innocent, you would not give in to and spend and dedicate all this time to try and protect and defend your image. This is this is how a guilty person acts. Well, it seems to be. Anyways, this is why the Candace Owens is more trustworthy than the BBC, even as I disagree with Candace Owens on her anti-LGBTQ kind of tendencies, her climate change misinformation, her COVID misinformation. But she believes in the right of children to exist. And there's maybe a soft part of me that, actually says, what, she's a good person. She may be not necessarily be completely rational. She may not necessarily be scientific based, which I am. At the same time, I may disagree with people like Hassan Piker, who completely fail to recognize that Candace Owens is not necessarily this Nazi. She's not a KKK member. She is a conservative, no doubt, but she also wants to insert values into her political beliefs, which is a complete no-no for the establishment elites, whether you're Democrats or you're conservatives. But anyways, it's good that she is on the up and up, but it's for us, the progressives, the leftists, to question everything, because of course there's a lot to question, and 90% of her stuff may even be completely wrong. But at the same time, question. That's a positive. The negative is that Israel's still constantly putting out its lies, and we need to obviously put out more, debunk their lies. Mamdani winning is a positive. However, the pushback against him, and the fact that whether he has a kind of any room to change politics, that's also another thing to discuss. Anyways, stay tuned. More on this in future. Please like, comment, and subscribe. That'd be very much appreciated. Thank you.